Yeah.
The second week of human development, right? Embryoblast and trophoblast. Okay, so during the second week of embryonic development, which occurs between days 8 through 14, right? The blastocyst attaches to the wall of the uterus, right? Somebody quickly tell me which wall am I referring to? Right? But is it anterior, posterior, lateral, superior, inferior, right? Posterior, superior, right? That's the most, that's where it implants itself the most frequently, right? Posterior, superior wall. All right, good. So the blastocyst's outer layer of cells are called the trophoblast cells. You all should know this by now. What they do, they penetrate into the uterine wall, establishing connection between the blastocyst and the mother. Now, the blastocyst's inner cells are termed the embryoblast cells, right? Embryoblast cells. See here, we have the inner cells, right? So the outer cell will be trophoblast, inner cell, embryoblast. And they turn into a new two-layered structure, which will eventually give rise to all the organs and tissues of the body. Now, anyone knows the name of this two-layer structure that I'm talking about? Think of the word two. Anyone? Think on it, think on it. What's the name of this two-layered structure? Not quite, not quite. It contains it. Right. Bilaminar disc. That's what I'm looking for. Good. Okay, so everyone good with the slide? Taking it nice and slow. So what you have to appreciate here is that the outer layer cells become the trophoblast. The inner layer becomes the embryoblast. Right? That's the two most important things on this slide. Right? Right now, by day 8, the blastocyst then implants itself into the endometrial wall. And we also refer to this endometrial wall as the decidual. Right? And this area is that area in which it plants itself into. Right? And the area in which it implants itself is called the decidual basalis, right? So all of this is the decidual, right? But this region here in which it implants itself is called the decidual basalis. All right. So to snuggle deeper into the decidual basalis, we have these trophoblast cells, which assembles into two layers, which we mentioned before, the cytotrophoblast and syncytial trophoblast. Now, the syncytial trophoblast cells expand into this decidual basalis, and by day 9, it will then push its way into the decidual basalis, right? And by day 11, it will be completely buried, right? So you'll see this being like all here, so, right, with a little piece sticking out there, and then we'll have what you call a fibrin plug being formed at this area, and we'll see that later. All right, everyone good? No? Okay, we have problems with. Okay, which part do you want me to repeat? The entire slide?
Just the last part.
Okay, with the last point or these 2 points together?
The last one. The actual
Okay,
last
okay.
one. Yeah.
Okay, So remember how I said we have this cytotrophoblast, right? And this cytotrophoblast would then have mitotic activity, and it will push more new cells into the cytotrophoblast, all right? So you'll see that this area, which is the cytotrophoblast, will grow, right? So this will become bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And think of it like a tug of war, right? And here I have all the strong people, right? So it will pull its way into this decidual basalis, all right? So the cytotrophoblast cells would expand into this decidual basalis. It would expand, right? It'll get bigger, and it will make its way deeper into the decidual, okay? And by day 9, it will be it will continue pushing its way in, right? Because it didn't win the wars yet. And then by day 11, it will be completely buried. Understood? Timirio, got it? Okay. Anyone else confused? All right, I'll take silence as content. Okay, so now around day 12, the decidual undergoes something called decidual reaction. All right, this is not too important to memorize, but you could know it. So the decidual reaction, we have high levels of progesterone, which makes the decidual cells enlarge and coated in a sugar-rich fatty fluid, which then gets absorbed by the syncytial trophoblast, right? And what it does,
Yes.
it helps sustain the embryo.
What's the source of the progesterone again, guys? Remind me. Someone quickly comment. Uh huh. Okay, good. Good.
All right, cool.
Remember that the corpus luteum is active now at this point. It needs to keep pumping out that estrogen and progesterone in order to keep the endometrial accommodating, right? Because remember, it's the yes, good, Kamala. That more to be more specific, the corpus gravitor. And remember that it's its lifeline, right? So you need to keep the endometrial accommodating. All right. Okay. All right, Nick, go on.
All right. Now, around days 13 or 14, right? Some sources say 13, others say 14. So I just put the two of them, right? It really doesn't matter at this point. So what happens is that the cells of the syncytial trophoblast, right? They start to protrude out, right? And they form these little protrusions, which we call primary villi, right? So all these here, boom, 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 surrounding it, gonna be primary villi. As you can see, it just kind of looks like a tree, right? So what happened is that the primary villi trees, right? They form all the way around the uterus, sorry, all the way around the fetus, right? And the cells then start to clear out between them. So you can see these little pockets here, all right? Now we'll get more specific into this part later on, right? Right, so it forms these little pockets and they leave behind these empty spaces, right? And we call those empty spaces lacunae, right? Singular would be lacuna, okay? Lacunae. Everyone good? All right, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so what happens next? So while all that takes place, right, we then have these arteries and stuff, right? So you can just follow my cursor here. I have all these arteries, yada yada yada, and the veins here in blue, right? They start to grow into the decidual basalis, okay, from the mother. So they grow into the decidual basalis. And then what happens is that the arteries, they would merge with these lacunae, right? So you see one that's just left behind here to depict it, right? So the arteries will merge within that lacunae, right? And they will basically spit out blood into that area, right? So it's kind of like filling up a cup, but fill up a cup with oxygenated blood. Okay, and why oxygenated blood? Because it needs to what? Somebody tell me quickly. Why are we giving it oxygenated blood? Simple things. Why not deoxygenated? Right, nutrients. Right, simple as that. Good. So the veins as well, they would merge with these lacunae, right? Because once blood goes in, blood must come out too, right? Common sense, all right? So veins would merge with the lacunae to transport blood back to the mother's heart, right? To then be re-oxygenated. And then the cycle just continues over and over and over until it develops more, right? And what happens is that it forms a pool of blood. So you can see this pool here of blood being formed. And this here would be called the junctional zone. Okay, drawn all right? Step by step. That should be good. Anything you want to repeat? All right.
Some psychedelics. Yo, you're not gonna left the class until you feel like get it. Yo, man, what I tell you are the best investment. When I check it for the year, they will go full aggressive. Just like the anatomy, the topics we are dissect it. Hitting the air up on the head whenever size.